Hey guys, Klinda again. This video is just an interview with Westa, or some people know him as Breezy. He's the GM of Adept Gaming, which is top 10 in the world guild, which I've said about 400 times by now. You're probably sick of hearing me saying it, but it's the truth. It sort of gives you an idea of how much work goes into maintaining a guild of that level, and sort of shows that any guild can actually get up to that level if they've got the right sort of leadership and backing of good players. All the questions were chosen by people who've watched my videos over the years. They were chosen on my Facebook page, and yeah, so hope you enjoy it. Okay, first question.
Yep.
Do you think that being the leader of one of the best guilds in the world is sometimes a bit much to handle?
Nah, not really. It's like it's a lot of work, but like it's pretty easy once everything's like on farm content. It's just cruise control.
Fair enough. Okay, next question. How many times have you contemplated not leading Adept and joining another guild?
Or not joining another guild, but not leading the guild. Definitely a lot. Like it gets so retarded sometimes.
It would.
Expand
Yeah.
on that.
Well, the amount of shit you gotta do to be like at the top as an officer or like GM of a guild, it's just like ridiculous. Like whether it's like organizing raids or like making sure people show up or making sure people aren't getting angry at each other, making sure everything's going smoothly. Like that doesn't stop at all. And like I haven't ever no, I haven't contemplated like ever joining another guild because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stick with Adept like in future games as well. Like we want to like expand this, but yeah, honestly sometimes you just question whether it's worth it or not.
Those are deep words.
Yeah, this is deep shit. This is like
Deep guidance.
getting
Deep.
yeah,
It's like intervention.
yeah.
Okay, next question. What has been the toughest obstacle you've had to overcome as a guild leader so far?
Hmm. Going on holiday for 3 weeks and leaving the guild, like to
That's
like
pretty
fend
intense.
for his. Yeah, sorry, not 3 weeks, 6 weeks. That was crazy. Like what? Every day while I was on holiday, like overseas, I'd be checking forums, trying to like raid lead and stuff from from outside of the raid. Like, hey,
No
Klinda,
computer.
yeah, Klinda would know about this, 'cause like I used to message him, like call him on Skype just to see how things are going. And yeah, like it's harder than you think. Like I haven't thought about future. Like when I want to take a break, it'll have to be during farm content and all that kind of stuff, or like when I want to go on holiday.
Righto.
But yeah, other than that, it's like just getting through the tough times. Like the end of the year of every year is just shit because like if they release content around the time like between November and January, everyone just wants to be on holidays and shit, and you end up like losing ranks, and then when you lose ranks, it's just like a chain reaction of people getting like annoyed with the game and shit like that.
Good answer.
Let's just tone down the language a little bit.
No, fuck that. Let's turn the language up.
All right.
Okay, next question. This is a fucking random question. Does your guild get paid through sponsorship? If so, how much?
We don't get paid a fucking cent
Yeah, Aussie
for the amount of
gamers. I don't give a
time.
fuck about Aussie gamers.
Exactly. We would love to get paid if anyone's interested. Hell yes. But nah, at the moment, we do get sponsored by Lowping, and they give us free Lowping accounts for all rating members, which is pretty awesome. But other than that, we haven't got a single dollar from the game.
Right, yeah. Next question. I actually knew the answer to that, but
Yeah,
yeah, anyway.
any Klinda gets paid.
With love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from me. That's it.
Okay, next questions. Sort of not to do with a guild leading perspective, but how do you compare Paladin healing from Cataclysm to Wrath of Lich King?
I'd say it's a lot more diverse and it's changed a lot, but it also, I don't know. It's weird because like you look across all these top paladins and like how they're healing, and it seems like some people just don't know what's good for like holy pallies and stuff like that, like spec wise and shit like that, even in the top end guilds. But other than that, like it's just completely changed. Previously, you could just like beacon a main tank with that and just spam anyone else, and like you were doing your role in a raid, and it was that's what made like paladins like amazing in ICC and previously, because I mean, healing 2 targets at 100% of whatever you're healing for, it's pretty dumb. But yeah, like the changes to AoE healing and shit's pretty cool. I think they were obviously. I don't think they were overpowered. I just think other classes weren't at the same level. So, I mean, obviously, when they changed shit around to make other classes stronger, it was a good thing. But the way I've always seen it is any nerf to any class is always gonna gimp your raid, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether, you know, a warrior gets nerfed or a paladin gets nerfed. It's gonna suck for your raid.
Warrior nerfs.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. How many hours do you play a week to be able to lead a guild such as Adept?
How many hours do we raid normally? That's like
at the moment or on progression?
7. During progression, I play a lot more. But that's still like I work 9 to 5, so I get home, and then we'd start raid at 7, and it'd be what 7 to 12 during
Next
progression.
day.
Yeah, on progression, if we're able to take a day off or two, which I generally am, we raid quite a bit. I think in ICC we did 18 hours on our first.
Yeah, that was fucked.
But yeah, after that raid though, that was one day. We didn't even bother raiding on Thursday. We
Yeah,
just
'cause
came.
everyone was fucking
Sunday.
dead.
But still, I mean, it's like yeah. Other than that though, because we cleared 8 out of 12 in one day. Yeah, Cataclysm, I wasn't around for that, but I heard you guys rated like a ridiculous amount. But that comes with, you know, the whole
It's pretty
gear
painful.
heroic grinding and shit. Yeah. I mean, that's not always gonna happen. Like
Oh,
next, then it'll be the same thing. You know, 1 or 2 days off for raid, and then if people can make it, and yeah, you need to do that to get that, you know, slight push ahead of other guilds. Otherwise, you just fall behind. But yeah, other than that, I'd say in progression I'd raid maybe 20 hours a week. Outside of progression, maybe 4, like 4 or 5 hours. I'd barely play the game, to be perfectly honest. Like, barely.
I fucking hate the game.
Yeah, I don't PvP. No, seriously, I prefer, like, I don't know.
Right.
I have fun playing my rogue outside of progression, but even then, like, you gear it up and then it's just like, alright, what do I do now? Like, I don't know.
Another one.
I just do other shit. Nah, screw playing multiple alts. Like,
All
man.
ults all together.
Whoa.
Okay. Next question. What is needed to be a good guild leader? What aspects?
That's hard because what makes Adept successful, I guess, is a better question, and it's a combination of like good communication between people, good leadership, you know, people constantly active, theory crafting. Like when we were raiding in ICC, I think at Lich King thread had like 34 pages of discussion and shit from like everyone, and like it's those kind of things, like when every single raider puts like in the effort to figure out mechanics, figure out whatever they can, you kind of need that. It's a team effort, not like a personal effort. Everyone needs to be doing absolutely everything. But other than that, keeping the guild well managed, like organization wise, you know, schedule everything you can, know when people aren't going to be on, work around that kind of shit. Always like keep your raiders happy is probably the biggest thing. Like,
You think sex appeal plays a big role?
yep, definitely. You gotta be sexy.
Okay. Next one. Do you have any tips for aspiring guild leaders looking to start a new raiding guild or a PvP guild?
Okay, I don't know too much about PvP guild, but one of the big things I've noticed, right, is when guilds start and they do good, it's good for the guild, but when they start shit talking other guilds, it just makes it so much worse for when they don't perform. and that's one thing I noticed Adept didn't ever do. When like climbing up the ladder. No, wait, climbing up the ladder. Climbing up the ladder. We never said
We'd never say anything about anyone else.
We never said fuck off until
No, we didn't. We
Hi,
were pretty well
tsunami.
behaved. Technically, Tsunami's not even a guild, so.
Yeah.
when we were climbing up the ladder, we never said shit about other guilds. Like you can remember how much we like. You can even look back, right?
Who cared?
When Tsunami got like World 7th Algalon or whatever it was, we were like congratulating them on forums and shit. They were the ones being the dicks, like completely ignoring us and whatever. When we started taking over progression, that's when like obviously people started like trolling around, and like honestly, if you don't perform, it really hurts the guild because you know, people demoralized like, oh, we were trash talking these guys like a month ago, how come we're not winning? And I think that's a big part of like modesty plays such a huge role. Like it just hurts the guild so much more when you don't like. It's kind of like real life when you know you've like beaten someone, and instead of rubbing it in their face, you just smile, and then they just feel like, fuck, this guy's so much more of a dick. It, like, yeah,
That's a good answer.
yeah.
This dude's question is pretty intense, and it has words that I don't understand, but I'll try and read it anyway.
Mhm.
Okay, it's a long ass question too. It's 3 lines in Notepad.
You should
Okay,
have sent me these before we like.
I should have, but yeah. Anyway, okay. I'm assuming that the life on WoW as a guild leader in a position like yours is somewhat like a politician's life, in being that each major decision made or in the making is being watched under the microscope and scrutinized by the WoW community and other high-end guilds. How do you deal with that? For example, transferring servers. Have you had any issues or backlash from other raiding guilds who were sitting like pretty well on top of progression on this server, only to be knocked down when you guys came along?
Regarding the first part of the question, I guess like dealing with well, I don't know, like you always got to worry about the guild image and whether well, I'll give you an example, right? When we transferred to Gundrak and stuff a long time ago, we were like absolutely hammered by everyone. Like everyone was like, "Oh, you know, don't do this. I mean, like they shouldn't be counted. They essentially got an extra week of progression and all this shit." When we did that transfer, but the thing is, at that point in the game, we were doing shit for publicity, really speaking, and it did pay off because we wouldn't like posted everywhere, and like any publicity is good publicity. Like we never shit talked anyone when we did it, but we also weren't like oh, we're doing it for the sole purpose of this or whatever, blah 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 blah. Like there was reason behind it. Obviously, we wanted extra attempts, we wanted the titles, blah blah blah. But I mean, really speaking, we're in a different league to every like majority of other US guilds because us being no, not leagues as in level leagues. I'm talking about our recruiting pool, all that kind of shit. So what we do is no, what I mean is time zones. I'm not talking about our players' skill.
You definitely said league.
No, sorry, my bad. Well, the Oceanic, like, we have a strict pool of players, right?
Yeah.
And, like, things like this actually attracted, like, some of the top players of our guild because it showed, like, dedication. Like, people were willing to fork out, like, $50 for a game that they play, you know, whatever. Because most people are like, oh, I can't be spending money on WoW and shit like that. Like, why would you pay to play a game? Blah, blah, blah. That kind of mentality, even though they're paying $15 a month. Like, why would you pay extra kind of thing? And, those things, like, it's all dependent. Like, there's always risk and reward, and you just got to figure out whether it's worth it or not. There's always been, like, you know, massively huge benefits. Like, when we killed US first Lich King and we posted that video, we got, like, 200,000 views. Who the hell does not want 200,000 views on their YouTube channel? Like, seriously. Like, I mean, getting the name of your guild out there is important, just as important as like anything else out there to be successful. And in regards to like other people, for example, when we came to BlackRock, the reason was because we'd been talking with guilds on this server for a long time. I mean, there was people who were like telling us not to come because it's just gonna ruin everything, you know, blah blah blah. But we came because we wanted like the better PvP. Like Dreadmore, like as much as I love that server, it had nothing going for it at the time, and probably still doesn't at the moment. Like, really speaking, we were the only ones on that server doing anything, and if it wasn't us, then it'd be, you know, 7 months later, the next guild would like get content down, kind of thing. It makes the game really boring when you're not surrounded by players like all the time, because it was generally a dead server. And when we came to BlackRock, a couple of guilds actually disbanded and left and stuff like that. One of them was Elementium, if you remember.
Yeah.
They transferred off so that they had a better chance at competing in the Oceanic game. So they went to Bathless. And other than them is Mediocrity, one of like the major ones. Like they didn't disband, but a lot of their core joined us. Like even though they're US players, we picked up a lot of excellent players from there, and also the Dark Ministry from Alliance. And like when you look at it, you do whatever you can to get like the best players. And if our players are also gonna have more fun on this server, then like it's what's worth it, I guess. Like we're not if we're getting tired and sick of like playing the game on Dreadmore, and a change of scene makes like the game fun again, then it's worth it, I guess. It doesn't matter what other people think, because it's what works for us.
Poonage.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember what the question was,
I do.
but I think you just answered every question ever. Okay, next question. What kind of an add-on do you use to regulate raids? Like one that regulates Suicide Kings lists?
What the hell,
What?
Suicide?
I don't know.
What?
I
I've
don't know,
never
probably,
heard.
probably dying on the elevator or something.
Nah.
And have you been playing since vanilla? If so, ask him what his favourite change is throughout WoW's developments. So, yeah.
I've been playing since March 2005, I think it was. So about 6 months after release. And the only reason I started late was because of, like, I used to play CS back at the time, and like everyone on CS was like, "Oh, WoW fags, WoW's for fags," and that's pretty much what held me back. I was like 15 at the time, and since then
Peer pressure.
since then I haven't stopped playing WoW. I think the longest I lasted was 3 days or something. When I first tried to quit, because like my best friend was quitting WoW, and like our guild was disbanding and blah blah blah. Ended up watching like 3 seasons of Scrubs in a week. 3 to 6 seasons or some shit. It was ridiculous. I was like, yeah, there's not much I'm doing outside of WoW. I mean, I was like in grade 10, and I never used to do shit at school. I used to be like always playing games, and so I was just like, no, screw it, WoW's for me. And that's the only time I can remember like taking a break from WoW, other than this last break, which I went overseas. Otherwise, I would have been online. But throughout the whole history of WoW, I think the biggest change would be, I don't know. There's well, I used to play a rogue, right? So I used to love everything to do with rogues, and I still do. And like seeing Wind Fury hit like 4 or 5 times on a single attack was like fucking great.
Yeah, that was
Like
cool.
it was so awesome, and I hated that change. I don't think there's been a change that I've ever been like, oh my god, that's awesome, because like afterwards it's just been, it's always just been like, oh, new content's out, let's raid. It's not been like, oh, this class has changed so significantly, I'm so happy kind of thing. But yeah, once I played my Paladin and they introduced Beacon of Light, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and that kind of shit. I mean, yeah.
Poon.
What's up, Heike?
Not needing fade leaf, man.
Oh,
Bang.
bro, you know what? I played my rogue. Firstly, I didn't have Fade Leaf. I never used to use blind, right? 'Cause-
Shit.
No, yeah, I know. I was so horrible at the game when I started. I only started using poisons at level 60. So I had no clue what they were. And to top it off, with Fade Leaf. I had no idea what the like. I was just like, I didn't even have blind bound, because I just used to be like, oh, what's this? Like, what's the point of that spell? That's dumb. And and so I never used it. I mean, I never PvP, and I never like. I mean, you could always vanish a mob off you and stuff like that. But like, I started raiding the day I hit 60, because like I was in one of my friends' guilds, and they got me like into raiding like straight away. And from like my first raid, started making friends like with like lots of people. And I used to talk a lot with the main tank of the guild, and he got me into the whole theory crafting and shit, of like rogue stuff and glancing blows and all that kind of shit, and ended up like topping the DPS by the like end of that. And from there moved on to bigger things, I guess, because that guild disbanded. But yeah.
Bigger and better things.
Mm.
Okay. And last question, unless Jason has thought of a question in this whole time he hasn't said anything.
No, we're nothing.
The last question is, how is your loot done during raids, and is there ever any problems involved in loot?
There used to be problems with loot, because like people who play for loot generally don't last in the guild. But we do master loot, and what we do is during progression we just give the items to whoever it's gonna benefit most, like raid DPS wise.
Like DKs?
Yeah, like DKs, and
Anyone
not,
but Klinda.
not Fury Warriors, because Fury Warriors are horrible on progression. Nah.
Fuck my life.
Nah, like generally during progression we don't gear healers at all unless they need it, stuff like that. Tanks and DPS have always been priority. That was like a huge advantage we had over a lot of guilds, especially during ICC and stuff like that. I guess, yeah, there's never been too many issues, but there's definitely been people who've quit over not getting gear and stuff. But yeah, as I said, like the people who are playing for loot, like specifically, aren't the ones that are amazing to your raids and stuff like that. If they're gonna quit over something so small, like it's pointless having them.
Yeah.
Like a good example would be
SC.
yeah, SC was a good example where he left over not getting a death choice, because we wanted to gear up one of our new like reroll characters who was an officer and stuff like that. Who else? Yeah, I think that was one of the major ones that stood out. But yeah, it's just been, everyone's pretty chill with like loot, because really speaking, in Adept you're gonna get your gear before you're gonna get them in most other guilds. So unless they have an option of like joining another top 10 guild where they're guaranteed gear or whatever it is, like if they're playing for gear, really speaking, it's like a better option just to like let it slide and just go with the flow, I guess.
That just about does it. This is a fucking long interview.
I got one for you.
Oh, here
I
we
got
go.
one for you.
So
How do you deal with ego-headed idiots in your raids? It's sometimes good to keep them around if they're actually really good, but a lot of them think they're better than they are when they're raiding.
Oh.
The biggest problem is
Are
when
you dropping names here, Jason?
no, don't drop names, please. The biggest problem you're gonna ever have is when people think that they're the best player when they're actually far from it. Because they're the ones that get hit a lot when, like, for example, they don't get taken to the main progression raid, or they don't get taken for whatever reason to a certain fight. And the only way you can deal with it is by talking to them and leveling with them and making them understand that this is why we take, like, for example, if person A is messing up constantly on a mechanic on a fight, you need to tell them, hey, look, you just don't seem to be doing this fight right. Maybe it's not your night, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get this person in. You don't need to be a dick about it. You don't need to, rage at people. You just need to keep people happy and keep people, like progressing rather than regressing, I guess.
Sick. So yeah, that was the interview. If you want to check out Adept, you can find them on adeptguild.com, and we're also on Facebook as well. So I hope you enjoyed it, and so yeah.